Hey, what's up, everyone? Austin back with episode 5 of the Push Pace podcast, a podcast where we take a deep dive into all topics surrounding kind of what it takes to push ourselves towards a better and happier us. And for today's topic is an extremely important one, a very confusing topic that I think a lot of us kind of juggle in our minds as we try to pursue this idea of a fitness journey. And so today we're here to discuss and talk about this idea of how much do you really need to work out. So this is kind of a very broad topic. And so we're going to try to break things down a little bit and take it into little sub mini topics and sort of just try to digest the big topic and see how we can just sort of spark new ideas, new ways of thinking about exercise and what it means to exercise towards our own specific goals. Because, just to start things off, we're all just trying to figure out what's best for us. We're just trying to do the right thing. And because of this day and age with social media and access to so much, like just an overwhelming amount of information that's out there, sort of everyone trying to pull you every which way to, do their program or tell you what's what. I mean, I'm trying to tell you what's what. I'm not saying I'm not one of those people, but there's just so much information that's out there. It's kind of hard to figure out what's going to be best for you. And because of that overwhelmingly, just overflowing of information into your brain, sometimes we just kind of just do something or do nothing. A lot of the times we just end up doing nothing and just, saying, forget it, I'm just going to do whatever. And that's not really a good way to go about things. It's always nice to have goals and sort of a purpose for what you're doing. And when it comes to what's best for us, that's really not the right thing to say, because it's about what's best for you, because we are all different. And not only do we all have our own unique fitness goals, but we all have our own unique circumstances. For me, I'm a guy in my mid-20s and I'm just I'm living by myself. I don't really have any obligations other than trying to keep a roof over my own head and feed myself. Where a lot of people listening here have families with multiple children or obligations to do a variety of different things. And depending on your life circumstances, depending on how much time you can advocate towards exercise, what your fitness goals are, what your situation is, the answer for how often should you work out, what's going to be best for you, is just going to be totally different. So let's take some time to consider a few different factors. First off, I want to talk about, what do the healthiest populations do for exercise? If we look at the areas of the world that have the longest living people, with the longest, healthiest lives, a lot of times these are considered blue zones based off of specific research done on a variety of areas across the world, from Okinawa, Japan to into Greece, and there's a bunch of other places. Even here in California, there's the Adventist vegetarians. They're one of the blue zone populations. But essentially, it's these groups of populations around the world that just seem to be living longer than most populations. And there's a variety of research that goes into looking at those populations. But what's really interesting is when you look at the exercise and fitness habits of these groups of individuals, a lot of the time, they're not doing a lot of necessarily structured fitness class type exercise, or, they're not out running marathons every couple months and things like that. It's more of a sort of this active lifestyle of human movement. When you think about, what humans were designed to do, we're not really designed to just really sit around and do nothing. We were sort of meant to move our bodies around. And it looks like these populations are doing a lot more of sort of daily activity, more light to moderate types of exercise. And that's, taking that into consideration of maybe that's why they are living longer than others. Now, of course, correlation does not mean causation a lot of the times too. I mean, a big factor is the dietary patterns of these populations. But it's an important thing to consider, to think, maybe we don't need tons of forms of high intensity training necessarily to live long, healthy lives. It's just a thought to be considered that I think sometimes we can think that if we're not exercising as hard as possible and as often as possible, then we're missing out on potential health benefits, where these populations show that is not necessarily the case. So with these healthy populations living a long time, doing sort of light, just having active lifestyles, not necessarily, participating in a lot of necessarily structured exercise, what does that mean for you? Well, this is where we have to think about how we exercise in consideration of more than just our physical health. Because yes, we exercise to want to increase our lifespan and have a number of more healthy years. We want to live long, but we want to live good years. We don't want to be sick and diseased for the last decade of our lives. We want to have as many healthy years as possible. And exercise is a way to get us there. But one thing I feel like that sometimes we don't think about is all of the other non-physical health benefits that we get from exercise. This can be, related to stress relief. You might just work a crazy, freaking, very stressful job, 6 days a week. And that hour that you get to go to the gym or Orangetheory or to your yoga class or to your cycling class, that is your hour of just you time getting to de-stress from your crazy work life. Like, that's a big reason why people exercise, is to get out of the craziness that they live through on a daily basis. We can think of things like you sleep better when you exercise. We all know those days where you get a really, really good workout in and you hit the pillow and you are out. That's a huge benefit of why I love exercise so much. And I find that days when I'm not moving at all are the hardest days to fall asleep. But days when you have a great workout, you are just out like a light. So there's sleeping better. There's things like just the psychology of gaining confidence in your body and loving your body. And that is, that translates to all aspects of your life, whether that's your personal life and the relationships that you have, the intimate relationships you have, the work relationships you have, your confidence to get out and try new things or apply for that promotion or that job. Exercise provides a lot of psychological benefits that are as good, if not, I would say maybe even more important than the physical health benefits we get from exercise. Another thing to consider too is just exercise can be social. If you go to a fitness class, you get to meet new people, the people that come to your regular classes, the trainers, the coaches you can meet, it opens up a lot of opportunity to make friends and meet new people, which is a very, very important part of, I think, living a fulfilling life, is having healthy social relationships, and exercise can help get us there. And what's important to think about is that those types of things that we get from exercise, we don't necessarily get from just having an active lifestyle. Again, looking back at these blue zones that are just moving more for their work, right? They're just not sitting all day. They're getting up and walking around and doing things like that. That is very healthy for the body. But with doing just things like that, you're not necessarily getting those other psychological benefits of exercise, like confidence, stress relief, necessarily social interaction. There's a lot of those things that we get from doing the types of fitness that we like to do, whether that's, heavy weight training, Orangetheory fitness classes, like I said, cycling classes, yoga classes, these other forms of more structured exercise, I think really do help us get a lot of the psychological benefits as well as the physical benefits as well. But I think we need to direct this conversation a little bit more towards, I think what a lot of you are wondering is what is the best formula to lose weight, to get fit? How can I get to my results the fastest? And we've always, like I've mentioned many times, we have to really get out of our heads of this idea of fast results. Because, let's say you get fast results. There's your fast results. You got them in 3 weeks. What happens after that? Come on now. You have to make fitness a lifestyle, lifelong, from today until the day you die. And the sooner you can wrap your head around you're going to be doing this for the rest of your life, the easier it becomes to take a step back and understand that we can take this process a lot slower than we might think we need to, and it gives us the room to adapt our exercise and our workout habits to fit our situations. Because you know what? If you've got a bunch of kids and you work super long hours at your job, you're not necessarily going to have the amount of time and frequency to exercise as someone like me who doesn't have these sorts of obligations and responsibilities of other human beings and such. And that's why it's important to think about your situation and program your situation accordingly to what's going to be best for you. And as long as you can stick with that, even if you're not necessarily doing as much as someone else, if you're being consistent with that, again, playing the game of life, lifelong, if you're doing something, you're gonna be healthier than if you're just saying, screw it, I'm doing nothing. So let's talk a little bit more about the specifics. So what's funny about exercise is it's one of the few things in life where more is not necessarily better. A lot of the times we always say, like, you want to get good at something, just do that thing more. But we have to be very, very careful with exercise because we need to play this constant balancing act of, pushing ourselves during our fitness classes or our workouts, pushing yourself to the limits, and then balancing out the rest and recovery that you need in between. Because if we're just bashing our body with max effort, pushing ourselves to the limits, and not giving our body the rest that it needs, it's being very disrespectful to your body. It's not an unbeatable, invincible machine. It needs rest. It needs recovery. And depending on your fitness goals, you're going to need some of you are going to need more recovery than others, depending on what point in your fitness journey you are, and again, what goals you're trying to accomplish. And so that's the first thing I'd like to ask you is I want you to think about, like, what are your goals? Not, I want to lose 10 pounds. Like, why do you really want to be healthy? Like, what really made you sign up for your gym membership? What really got you to go try out an Orangetheory class for the first time? Like, what are you really, really playing for? And I think a lot of individuals say, I want to be healthy and around for my family, to watch my kids and grandkids grow up. And these are all very important reasons. And of course, some of you are going to have other reasons outside of that too. But when you're thinking about goals like that, well, then you don't necessarily need to be killing it in the gym 6 to 7 days a week. And if you're someone who's maybe looking to be a competitive bodybuilder, or you aspire to do long distance endurance events, depending on those goals, you're going to have to shift your training accordingly. If you're training for long distance endurance efforts like Ironmans and the huge triathlons and things like that, like, you're going to need more training than others. You're also going to need more rest and recovery than others. And so it'd be irresponsible for me to prescribe you with a specific, like, this is what you need to do, because it's just going to be different depending on what you're trying to do. I think another thing we need to really consider, like, really, really be honest and truthful with yourself about, is listening to your body as far as if it needs rest and recovery. Because sitting here right now, about an hour and a half ago, I just got back from probably one of the worst gym sessions I've had in probably like a year, of just like way lower. I was doing a weightlifting session. I do full body weight training 2 to 3 days a week as part of my fitness routine. And, today the weights that I was using were not nearly close to what I'm used to using. And I just could not get the repetitions that I had set out to get. I felt like just extra tired going into each set that I was doing. And I was really, really, really not feeling it. And I think it was because this last week has been a lot more activity with work stuff. Maybe push myself a little bit harder these last few weeks of exercise. And, right here as I'm talking to you guys right now, like, I'm saying what's on my mind, like, I need a little bit of a break from my current fitness routine. So I'm planning to take this next week off from my weight training. And I'm going to try to squeeze in maybe 1 to 2 Orangetheory workouts if I can, and take some long walks, because the weather here in California is getting pretty nice now that it's fall. But not just continuing to go hard as possible, because if your body's not getting the rest that it needs, you're pushing it for no reason. And eventually it's going to break you. And it could physically break you too. It could lead to an injury, but a lot of times it mentally breaks you. You get so tired, you literally get to the point where you are forced to take, a few days off. And all of a sudden you're like, oh boy, I feel so good now. I'm taking time off. And then all of a sudden you take a week off. You take 2 weeks off. You take a month off. You take a year off. You take a decade off. And you're off of your fitness routine. And now you feel like, I was doing so well and now I stopped. A lot of the time it's just because we burn ourselves out. And I'm not talking just weight training. I'm talking Orangetheory training and high intensity class training. I know I bring Orangetheory up a lot, but it's because I'm a coach for the company and I like to talk about it because I influence a lot of people that take this workout. And if you are constantly cranking out 5 to 6, maybe 7 workouts a week, and you're not improving and you feel tired all the time, you're doing too much. And there's nothing impressive, and I'm just being real. I'm giving the real truth here. There is nothing impressive to me about someone who is working out just, 6-7 days a week, double workouts. Like double days are probably the least impressive thing ever, in my opinion, from the Orangetheory workout perspective. And that's because if you really give your all that first workout, your second workout's going to be much less quality and you're just moving your body for no purpose. And the purpose is what really makes your workouts effective. I think I'm going to do an experiment. I think one day I'm going to do 10 Orangetheory classes in a row, 10. And I'm going to just half-ass every single one of them. Run it, 2 miles per hour less than most of my paces, use a lot less weight, not go hard on the rower. But I did 10 classes. Wow, Austin, you did 10 classes in a row. That's incredible. No, it's not. It's not incredible. Just doing more volume is not an impressive feat, and it's not necessarily what you need to do to get yourself better. If you're training for endurance, you need to do a lot of volume at low intensity, like heart rate training for long duration. But like trying to see how many high intensity classes you can like just pound on yourself a week, eventually your body's going to break. Unless you're sleeping for 12 to 16 hours a day outside of that, your body's going to break down eventually. I know that kind of went on a bit of a tangent rant, and I'm not trying to be mean. I'm really not. I'm just trying to be truthful. When it comes to exercise, the quality over the quantity, in my opinion, is what really, really pushes you further and further along. It helps you see the most progress over time. That's why I always recommend 3 to 4 Orangetheory sessions a week and no more than that, because once you start tacking on more than that, each session gets a little bit less quality than if you would have stuck to 3 to 4. And on those days in between your high intensity workouts, not just Orangetheory, weight training or whatever high intensity cycling or whatever you're doing, rowing, who cares? Something high intensity that's pushing your body to the limits. 3 to 4 sessions a week of that is plenty. And on your days in between, do something that's active, but not necessarily going to kill you. That's not pushing your limits as much as these high intensity classes are. Pushing your limits too often will break you. And it could be detrimental breaking to your fitness progress. It could take you out for days, weeks, months, years. And so I encourage you to really, really listen to your body. And if you're plateauing and you just might need to take more rest breaks, it's all things to consider. I'm not prescribing anything to you. I'm just giving you some things to ponder, some things to think about. If you're someone who hasn't been making progress and you've been putting in a lot of work, you may be doing just too much. You also need to take into consideration your diet as well. We're not going to really get into diet into this talk, but you can't outrun the fork. If you're putting in bad things into your body and too much of those bad things, you're not going to lose weight. You're not going to make the progress that you're looking to. So you have to find the balance of both of those. And we'll dive a little bit more into the nutrition talk in the future. But I want you to ask yourself, are you making progress? Are you making the progress that you want to make? And are you in this for the long haul? These are all things to consider. Listen to your body. And if you're really dying, if you're feeling you're not recovering, take some rest time. There's nothing wrong with that because you're in this game for the rest of your life. And if you need to take a week off to recover your body, then that's what you need to do. And if you need to reevaluate your workout schedule, that's what you need to do. And if you've got a lot of kids and you can only work out 20 minutes 3 times a day, you better make it a good 20 minutes. 3 times a week. You better make it a good 20 minutes 3 times a week to the best of your ability. Consistency is key. Recovery is key. And that's all I really have to say for today's podcast. I really want to hear your thoughts about this down below. We've had some kind of controversy talking about frequency of exercise and intensity of exercise in the past. And so I'd love to start more discussion, but let's just keep it as civil as possible, right? Feel free to reach out to me through my DMs or comments, and I'm happy to read everything and answer, and we can start some good discussions. So thank you guys as always for listening. Hopefully this could help push you towards some new knowledge and some new thoughts. And anyway, that's it for today's Push Pace podcast. Thank you guys all for tuning in. Please rate and comment and let me know what you guys think. As always, what can I do to make this a better experience for you? Thanks for listening, and I'll see you guys next week.